It took Julie a long time.
Can you close the door, Papa? Okay, good evening, everyone. I still have about 4 minutes before I start, so I am just gathering and looking at some information. I think I remembered that I need to answer the question about consent forms. So try to retrieve a consent form from my mobile phone. Okay. If you have any questions, just drop them on the comment box and I'll pick them up. Okay. So I'll just check about the consent form because somebody asked earlier how to complete the consent form. Okay. Declaration. All right. Consent form. No, I did a description earlier. I've forgotten what I said in the description now. Okay, I've got 3 minutes, so just hang on. I've obviously been I clicked live. I wasn't really ready, but I've got 3 minutes before 7 o'clock. Okay, how long does it take for MN1 application? There is really no specific guideline on this, but it can take up to 6 months for them to get the decision. Usually, from experience and before COVID, okay, this is before COVID-19, MN1 application decisions are usually out within sort of 3 months from the date of the application. So that's my answer. Cheesy and Chucky, yeah. How long does it take for the Home Office to respond for MN1 application? These days, they've been very, very quick. Okay, so for all applications, they've been very, very quick. I had one application. This is for British citizenship, not necessarily MN1. MN1 maybe takes a bit longer. I had one in, I think, January, and so it's February now. We're still waiting. But they can take up to 6 months, and I think it really depends on a lot of circumstances. So, for example, the referees. One of the referees that you put down on your application did not reply to the Home Office email, for example, then that can take up time, okay? Or it may be stuck some kind of tech issues, because I did have that with one of the clients where the client, it took a year to get her British citizenship, and that was because there was she was stuck in one of these technical issues. They had some technical issues before COVID-19, so she applied in November 2019. Was it 2020? 2019, and then it took them, November to get the decision. So it can take a long time. Okay, it's pardon me, it's 7 o'clock. So good evening, everyone. I'm here to answer some of your questions because I know you've been leaving comments and asking questions on the comment box, and I've been replying to them. So tonight, and I think I'll do this every night so that I can pick up on the questions that you've left instead of answering it individually, maybe. So you can also benefit from my discussion. So I think in this description of this live, I said I will be discussing, I think 3 things, wasn't it? I can't remember what I said now. I think I said something like fee waiver. Can you apply? When do you have to apply? Because I think one of you asked this question. If you apply for fee waiver 3 months before your application, before your visa expires, and then it takes and you only have about 10 days to submit your application, would it affect your immigration application? I think one of you asked that. So I'm going to be dealing about fee waiver because, coincidentally, cannot pronounce the word, coincidentally, one of the clients that I helped with the fee waiver application, she just received today the decision on the application. So we will be submitting the application in the next 10 days when she receives the code. Okay, so the second one, I think I said something about if you are applying for limited leave to remain or you are renewing your visa, what are the financial requirements for that? And I think the third one, I said if you're an overstayer or you're in the UK on a tourist visa, can you apply to switch? I think that's what I said, but forgive me if I haven't, I couldn't remember. I was typing it and then completely got out of my head. So I also want to discuss about consent forms because one of you was having difficulty about completing the consent form after you submit your application, and then they give you the consent form. Okay, so let's start with the fee waiver first. So if you're applying for fee waiver, when do you actually apply? And I think I must have mentioned in one of my videos, I think something like 3 months. And I said 3 months because if you leave it too late, then your visa expires. It means that you will have to pay for the home office fees. Does that make sense? So if let's say, for example, you completed your fee waiver application, let's say a month before your limited leave to remain, and then you absolutely do not have any money to pay for the home office fees, because it's quite a lot these days, isn't it? You need to have 2,612 to submit your application. That's without a lawyer. So if the home office takes their time in giving you the decision on the fee waiver application, then it would mean that by the time you submit your application, you may already have overstayed. So, or you're waiting for it, and then you've already overstayed, and the decision is no, and so you won't have time to, find the money. So it's kind of, they should really give us an indication how long it would take for the fee waiver application to be processed, because the timing is really important. And there isn't anything on the guidance that says if you submit your application, it will take maximum 3 weeks for the for the application to be processed, for the decision to come out. There isn't anything like that. And so I suggested 3 months. But if you okay, like I said earlier in the introduction, I said that the one of the clients I assisted just received her fee waiver application. So her visa expires March 11, and we submitted the application. Oh my goodness, can I remember it? About 10 days ago, I think. 10 days ago. 2 weeks ago. So let's say 2 weeks ago. So it means that they're very quick. The turnaround is really quick. And so if you apply, let's say six weeks before your visa expires, if you apply for the fee waiver 6 weeks before your visa expires, then you should be okay. Now, does it affect the application if you apply too early? So if you, for example, apply for fee waiver 3 months before your visa expiry date, and then you receive it, let's say a month after you submit it. So that means you have two months before your visa expires, and then you submit it. Does it affect your immigration application? The answer to that is yes, it may, and not in a bad way. If you receive the fee waiver, it doesn't really matter, because you then, you can apply for the visa and you won't have to pay for it. But if you apply too early, let's say you just pay for your immigration fees. If you apply too early, because there's this confusion about the within 28 days, isn't it? You must submit your application within 28 days. And the reason for that is because if, let's say, you are on a spouse visa, partner's visa, and you're on a 5-year route. So what it means is that if you're on a 5-year route and then you apply too early, okay, and by the time you have 5 years, it's supposed to be 5 years, it's not really 5 years, it's like 30 months. Okay, is it 30 months? How many months is let me just calculate. 12. Oh my goodness. Is 30 months 5 years, or is that? Yeah, that's 5 years, isn't it? 12 times. Oh no, that's 60 months. Sorry, 60 months. Sorry, 60 months. So if you are on a 5-year route, you're supposed to have been on a spouse visa for 60 months, holding it for 60 months. Okay, so I know it's 5 years, 60 months, but if you apply too early, then you won't necessarily be able to apply for indefinite leave to remain, because the qualification is, the requirement is, you have held a spouse visa for 60 months. And so if you applied early, you may have to then apply another limited leave to remain to make up for the 60 months. Okay, so let's say you're lacking, I don't know, 3 months because you applied too early. Okay, so you have to, instead of being able to apply for limited leave to remain, indefinite leave to remain, you won't be able to do that because you have not qualified as holding as a spouse visa, partner's visa for 60 months. And so you have to apply another limited leave to remain in order for you to make up the 3 months. Okay, so that's just an example. And this is the reason why there is that requirement to be within 28 days. Okay, so that's that. So that's a fee waiver. So my advice for that is apply maybe about 6 weeks or like 5 weeks before your visa expires for the fee waiver, and then just follow up if you have not heard from the Home Office on the decision. Let's say a week before your immigration, or maybe 10 days before your visa expires. Just follow up and call them and see if you'll be able to whether or not they've granted your request. Okay, so fee waiver with public funds with income, paying everything. Okay, Alex and Diana. Okay, so I'll give you an example, okay, about this client who applied for a fee waiver. It's not very common, but the reason why I've highlighted this, it's because of COVID-19, and a lot of people have lost their jobs and been made redundant. And I know life is not easy if you keep renewing your visa. It's not, it's difficult to having to pay 2,500 every time you renew. I mean, if you're earning let's say 10 pounds per hour, then it's difficult to have that money. So with this client, she has three children. Okay, so she has 3 children. 2 of them are 5 years old, so twins, and one of them is about, I think, 11 years old. And she's a single mom. Okay, and she's on. She can't work because she's full-time caring for the 3 children. I think she goes to university, but she goes to a college to learn some skills. And she receives benefits, universal credit, because that's the government provides for that. So she receives that. But although when you apply for fee waiver, you have to disclose all your bank accounts. Don't hide anything because they will find out. Okay, don't say, oh well, I don't have any money, because if you miss just even one account and you haven't disclosed it, then they'll find out because they do search, and then they'll say, well, provide this document. They don't like it if you don't disclose, so it's better to disclose everything. So so she had maybe like, I don't know how much she has in her account. She has like a couple thousand pounds because she seems quite good with money. But she had also things to pay out of it, and then the government asked her to pay back some money. So I think they overpaid her, and then they want it back. So that's why she got all. So 4 of them got the fee waiver. So all of them needed to apply for visas, and they've all got that. Okay, so in your case, it really is what you can afford. So when they decide, I'm not an immigration caseworker, but when they do decide for your fee waiver application, they will look at your affordability, and they'll ask about, do you have any family who provide support, and if they do, you need like a letter to confirm that they provide proof, they provide help, and what you can afford. But if your relative, okay, so let's say in your case, Alex and Diana, in your case, your father-in-law pays for everything, okay, then because you are under, are you under his roof? Are you living with them, and you just pay your food and your phone bill? If they're willing to pay, okay, if they can afford to pay for your immigration fees, then the Home Office will expect you to borrow or get the money from them. So Home Office will expect what you can sell. Do you have any assets? Do you have any savings? If you have, they expect you to use that first. Okay, but if absolutely nothing, like you tell them, I've just been redundant, here's my bank statements. They ask for 12 months. Okay, so supply the 12 months, and it will show what's gone in, and everything that you need for your, like for example, you have 3 bank accounts, you need to disclose how much money you have in those accounts. Okay. Okay, you're living with your parents, but your father in care home. Okay, if they are, you can't, if you can't borrow from them, if you absolutely don't have, yes, you have relatives, but you can't borrow from them, then the Home Office can't force you, can they? So I would apply again. I would apply and see what the Home Office says about the application. If you can show that you don't have any money, then they're not going to force you. But if they can see that you can afford it, then they won't grant it. Okay, so that's the fee waiver. Second one is if you're an overstayer, or have a tourist visa, can you apply? And I think which one option? Okay. Yeah, Alex, I don't know which one option. What do you mean? Which one option fee waiver? I would apply for fee waiver. Yes. It's free. Okay, it's free. Try it, apply, send your application, and ask the Home Office to waive. Okay, to give you exemption from paying the fees. That's what the fee waiver is. Fee waiver request. Just say, I can't afford the home office fees, immigration health surcharge. Please, please, grant me the exemption from paying those fees, because I really can't afford. I'd be destitute if I pay. Okay. So back to the question, can you apply for a visa? It really depends on your reasons why you're applying. I think one of the one of the clients contacted and asked whether, you know, he was on tourist visa and he wanted to apply for limited to remain or to stay in the UK because his mother was not well. So, and some lawyers would say, yeah, absolutely, you can't apply. Okay, you can't apply to be in the UK if you were an overstayer or on tourist visa. So that's what most lawyers would say. Um, but there's no stopping you from sending your application if you can explain why you are applying. But if you're just saying that, well, I want to apply because I want to stay in the UK, that's it. You know, there's no other reason. That's it. You know, I just want to stay. I want to work in the UK. That, of course, naturally, that's going to be refused. You'll be wasting your, you know, £1,052. The immigration health surcharge you get back, but the £1,000 that you're giving to the Home Office, that won't be refunded. So before you start your application, before you sort of like give your money to, you probably hire a lawyer, hire a lawyer and submit your application. You know that it will be a waste of money. But if you can say that, look, there's a reason why I'm staying because I can't go back to my home country. I'm scared to go back, or my partner is here. You know, we're in love. Okay, we're in love. We want to be together. I can't go back to my home country. I can't bring my partner to be with me in my home country because my home country can't is not accepting foreigners because of COVID-19 restrictions. If that is the case, then, you know, submit your application and see how it goes. There's a reason, okay? Because the Home Office, if let's say you have a partner, the Home Office would expect your partner to follow you, okay? So they expect that you go to your home country and you live there happily ever after with your partner. Doesn't matter if your partner is settled or British citizen. They just expect you to go back to your home country and live there happily. They don't want you to stay in the country with your partner who is British or settled. They don't want that. They just want you. That's their argument, okay? But if you have a partner who can't go with you to your home country because, let's say, they have caring responsibilities, they have children, they have elderly parents who they're looking after. They have children who they have shared residence with, like, you know, they were divorced previously, but they have children, and then there's a court order that says your partner has to take care of the children from former relationship. Then, you know, that's really out of the question, right? They can't then go back with you to your home country, and so there's a reason. And so in that case, apply and give those reasons. Okay, so that's the one. The other one I wanted to mention is the financial requirement, because I thought sometimes I think, because I've been doing it, you know, like it's quite easy to just say, yeah, everybody knows about financial requirement. I won't have to keep repeating myself about financial requirement. But when it's your application and you're not quite sure, I'm sure it can be a bit difficult, right? So, okay, financial requirement if you are renewing your limited leave to remain, and on the basis that you have a partner in the UK who's settled or British citizen, or you're renewing on the basis that you are the parent of a British child. Okay, so you'll be thinking about, well, what's the financial requirement if you're on the 5-year route? So this financial requirement only applies if you are on the 5-year route. It doesn't really it's not really relevant if you're on the 10-year route, because 10-year route it's kind of given that you know, when you renew, the Home Office don't really ask or don't refuse you, even if you don't have enough income. Okay, so if you're as long as you still have responsibility with your child, because I think usually it's with your child, you're still with your partner, then, you know, they will renew your 10-year route. But for the sake of those who are on the 5-year route, the financial requirement is And also for those who want to come to the UK, the financial requirement is 18,600 for a year without the gross before the tax is deducted. Okay, so that's 18,600, and there are also documents that you have to submit along with it, and this can be if you've been working for the same employer for at least 6 months, then you provide the 6 months pay slip and along with the bank statements and a letter from your employer to say that you're employed with them and how much, whether or not it's permanent or it's temporary. So usual like letter, I confirm such and such is an employee of this company and he is the, whatever is the job description and he earns such and such, who works how many hours. Okay, so you get that from your employer. But if you have been working for different companies and you don't quite meet the 18,600 from one employer and your income varies, okay? So your income 1 month is different from the next month because you work various hours. Then you have to supply the 12 months pay slips, okay? So, but I think to be sure, submit the 12 months pay slips, 12 months bank statements, letter from the employer. So the difference is the 12 months or 6 months bank statements and pay slips. Those are the only difference if you are like employed by a company. If you are an employee, but for just to be safe, supply them with the 12 months bank statements and then 12 months pay slips, okay? And also insert the P60 to be sure, okay? I would do that if you are on the 5-year route, just to be absolutely sure. But if you've been working for the same company for years, then clearly, and you have the same income every month that meets the 18,600, you don't need to submit the 12 months, just submit the 6 months and you'll be fine, okay? So that's the one, financial requirement. The last one I wanted to discuss is the consent form. I think one of you asked about the consent form. How do you complete it? Okay, so I think if you read the consent form, okay, I'm just trying to get my phone to see if I can get the example of the consent form. 1 second. I think I closed it. Okay. I have here consent and declaration form. So this is not exactly the same as the when you apply for the replacement biometric card, okay, but kind of the same. So the first one is, I think it's the consent for the Home Office to verify application information. Okay, so that is the part 1. I think it's divided into 3 parts. One is part 1 is consent to the Home Office to verify application information, and it is from the applicant. So the applicant will have to sign the part 1. Okay, this is part 1, and then part 2 is the consent for the Home Office to verify third-party information. And it says here, if you read the top bit, if any information or documentation provided is in the joint names of the applicant and another person, the joint owner should sign the following declaration. So that's part 2. Okay, so part 2, I think if I'm not sure if you're watching, you asked this question. So part 1 is from the applicant. It's quite clear because it has from the applicant. So you sign it as the applicant. The second one is if your name, okay, if you, the applicant, has another document who is joined with another person, like it can be your partner. So if you have a document that is jointly with another person, then that person, so your partner, okay, or it can be your mother if you have joint account with your mother, or if your father, you have a joint account with your father, then that person will also have to will sign part 2 of the consent form. And then I think part 3, okay, part 3 of the consent form is for the third party, not the joint owner, but the third party who provides financial support. I don't have the part 3 here, but I clearly remember in, from sending it to clients, part 3 is where, for example, let's just say you are you don't have any, let's say you are an overstayer and you submit your application, and your I don't know, parent or your partner, okay, your partner who's providing you financial support, then he signs, whoever is providing you financial support and is submitting documents with your application, then that person has to sign to consent. So they're saying, yeah, it's okay, I agree, I consent, I give permission to the Home Office to, verify the information, and for them to use the information that I've provided. This is what the consent is about. It's basically giving the Home Office permission to verify whatever you said in your application. And it comes from you, so you have to give them consent. It comes from your partner. So if your partner is a joint, you have an account in joint names with your partner, then the partner has to sign. Then the third one is if you have a third party who you're using financial information, and who's providing you financial support, then that third party also has to provide information. So just give you an example, I had one client who, so she overstayed and she applied for fee waiver, and one of her relatives is providing financial support. So that relative was submitting, a letter, and at the same time her bank statements with the application. And because she is a third party, so she's not really part of the application, but she's the one providing financial support, she has to sign the part 3 of the consent form. That was what it was. Okay, so yeah, I think I've answered the questions that I wanted to answer in this session. So thanks very much for watching. If you have any questions, I'll stay for another 5 minutes to answer any questions you have. Yeah, while I drink some water. Yeah, just let me know. Alex, I'm not sure which option fee waiver start on the fee waiver application. Yes, if you are going to submit an application, but you can't afford to pay the Home Office fees, then yes, start on fee waiver first. Okay, submit that, and then once you submitted it, then continue and start your main application, which is applying for a visa, applying for limited leave to remain, and have that ready so that as soon as you receive your decision on your fee waiver request, you can just submit it straight away with the code that the Home Office gives you to submit, so that you don't have to pay the fee. Yes. Okay, so yeah, I'll stay for another five minutes, and then I'll answer your questions. Okay, yeah. Yes, if you are hi Akwasi. Yes, so what normally happens when you apply for naturalization is that they take into account whether or not you have good character. So you have to meet the good character requirement, even though you applied for refugee. So that's a very, very good question, actually. If usually they take into account for 10 years. So I believe that you have to meet the good character requirement, even though you applied as a refugee. Okay, because they expect you to. So what they do is they expect you to, as soon as you arrive in the UK, you submit your application. Okay, submit your application as a refugee, and then while waiting for it, then you can't really say that you overstayed. Can they? They can't say, well, you overstayed because your application was already with the Home Office. So the good character requirement goes back 10 years. So if you have overstayed at any point 10 years from the date of application going back, okay, so within the 10-year period, then most likely it will be refused. I have, if you go onto the description on the channel, there's a description, I think it's about, there's a guide to naturalization, and there's also a video that explains about the good character requirement if you if you want to check it out. Okay. How do you send the documents? Andrew, is that the documents to for the fee waiver? Is that how you meant? Not sure. I'm not sure if that's what you meant. Can you? Did you have? Yeah. Did you have a GP note for that? Because that's what they will ask for, that GP note. You had depression. You have, okay. I will have to double check that, okay. Overstaying, whether or not, because it's kind of, with the good character requirement, it's kind of like they call it strict liability. It's like no excuse, if you overstayed or you overstayed, and that's it, then they say computer says no. So there's not much flexibility on if you breached immigration rules before immigrate. Yeah, I would double check it. But how many years did you overstay? Because it depends on also the length. So let's say if you overstayed 2 years, 3 years within the 10-year period, then you can apply, but you might get refused. Andrew, where do you send the document? So when you apply for the fee waiver, you have two choices, but usually you can upload it. So they send you a link where to upload your document. And so all the documents in support of the application, you upload it, as well as they kind of expect you to send them by post as well. So you can send them by post at the same time. Do that. And if you want to just send it by post without uploading, because obviously it's a lot of work uploading it, then you can do that. But just make sure you post it. You post it by special delivery so that you have record that they've received it, and also ask them to return it by special delivery. You might have to enclose a return envelope with the stamp already, so that they just enclose the documents to return and send them back to you without you worrying that they get lost. Okay, Akwasi, 1 year. Okay. Okay, 1 year. It's quite, yeah, that's quite long. Okay, so it depends. I cannot make a comment. So it depends on what the Home Office, what the GP says as the diagnosis. But I would wait until you've already, reached the 10-year. If it's already over 10 years, then you can apply for naturalization. That's what I would do. But if you don't, if you want to try it, then you can. I'm always saying to clients, it's better to wait than waste money, because there's a risk. I'm saying there's a risk because they're very prescriptive about the good character requirement. If you breach the immigration rules before, then it's like a no. They tick no, and you'll be refused. Okay, but this is my interpretation of the rules, and it's entirely up to you whether or not you want to risk it, because I don't know the full details of. I know you're just saying to me you have GP note that you were depressed. It might be different for refugee. Yes, you should. Yeah, you will get an email from them. Andrew, you get an email from them to say that they have with a link to upload your documents. Yes. Okay, I would do. Can you register with the GP? You can try. You can try and register. GP surgeries might ask you for, evidence of, might ask, okay, they're not supposed to, but might ask you to provide your ID and visa, okay? They may refuse you, but yeah, go there and ask or phone them and say, can I register? Can I please register? Some of them may ask proof of where you live, in black and white, as in, I don't know, tenancy agreement or bank statement, proof of your address. They might ask for that. So, but it's better if you phone them and say, I would like to register. And explain to them. Okay, that's what I would do. I'd phone them. I'd phone the nearest GP where you can register and explain I would like to register and what are your requirements. No problem. No problem. Okay, I think that's it. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for hanging around, and asking me questions. I'll do this every week, Tuesday, because it's YouTube Tuesday. So Tuesday. So I don't forget. So that's why I do it Tuesday night instead of, oh, let me just pick a day. So YouTube Tuesday live. Okay. All right. Bye. Have a lovely evening. Bye. Bye. Bye.